This is IBM Museum. On this video, I'm going to go through and show how to build and run the reference diskettes on the NCR system. In this case, the 3421. I've been having a little bit of trouble running the system information tool on that PS2 Model 77 based on the Lacuna planar. It's even refusing to run the multiple times I get a reference diskette image for that one. So I'm going to have to rebuild the system from scratch and and just hope that I find whatever is ailing it in this case. The riser and other aspects to that go through and set what planar ID those systems have, and if that planar ID doesn't match what the reference diskette is for, it refuses to run. And it just tells me, I think we saw that in a previous video, that that the system complex or configuration error, and then it goes through and tells me to press F1 to start from the reference diskette, and press F1 and it goes through and doesn't do that. So we're just falling back to having a system here where I can go through and build a reference diskette based on the executable program that format is in, and I'll show where those files are. I've gone through and downloaded them. Now, for setting up the system that's going to make the diskette images, I've actually gone through and I had the idea, since we encountered problems with the Windows XP build on one of the Think Centers, where it's got some issues. I got to figure that one out too. I'll be rebuilding a lot of systems, I guess. But I was going to pull out the Vista 32-bit operating system and plug in that USB drive, but I thought, well, I've got this NetVista system that I was working on that has that Aptiva planar, and that's the one with the Pentium 3 CPU that I'm going through and added RAM memory to it, and going through and going to work with a little bit of the physical components, and that'll be its own video, as well as I go through and receive in the new DIMM modules that can take it up to that 768 megabyte of RAM. But it does have a diskette drive on it. And so with it open like this, the only issue was I couldn't get it online. To go browse to a web page where the files are, but I can go through and put those over to, I can transfer the files over to USB. In fact, go through, I'm going to have to work with the order here. Just give me a moment. So these are the files for that 3421. And I just went and grabbed them, and I'm able to get them on a USB drive. And that NetVista, even though it's not able to get online, it's got USB ports. I can go through and connect that USB drive and put it in a particular, those files in a particular location. Now, we had to pick out which files that were needed in this case, and it's not the reference diskette with the 486 add-on processor. This is just that 386 SX CPU, 20 megahertz. And so it's actually this kind of down here in the middle. That disk 1 of 1 version 2. And I have it on the little screen. I don't have this thrown up on the big screen. I may have to I may have to throw it up on the big screen just to see a little bit better, or put on my glasses. But I went through, I've grabbed that file, and then if we're to go through for the operating support later on, the display drivers and other files that we would need, SCSI drivers, that's that page. And I'll put the link in the video description to find where that is, in case you have a very similar system or want to look over this web page. And that's one of many that are on the NCR systems that are hosted in that known location, along with a lot of the IBM files. So let me get back to grab my keyboard for this system, and we'll have the screen save or go away. Just give it one little step where it goes through and says, and then the B coming through, wiping out the IBM. So, yeah, and I'm going to have to put this up on the big screen just to see it. And it's that high resolution. I mean, I could set it down to a lower resolution, but I've gone through, and for the command prompt here, I've expand the font as much as I can. And I'll actually have to remember, there's typically an instruction file that's in here as well. But I'm bringing up a command prompt window from within Windows, and typing the name of the executable that's in that directory, the only file that's there. Okay. And what it did is it expanded these files, and I mean, we can go through. I don't know how long the instruct text is. And I could even bring up Notepad or something else on the system, but let's just go through and type it to see what it says. Okay, so it expanded the files of the instruct text, which is this text document, and the self-extracting archive file contained the reference diskette image and utility program. So this file contains the procedures for creating a reference diskette version 2 for the NCR 3421. And that's what we have. And we already have a diskette in the drive. It even tells us what to label it, part number. And of course, this is NCR's particular copy non-standard adapter description files, ADFs, from the customer's current working reference diskette or disk to the new reference disk. And we do have that one board with a coax adapter on it in the system. And there's the listing of the ADFs that are installed as a default. And if I have to, I can go through and just pull that adapter. We're going to have the case in anyway because I've got the module that we're going to swap out, and we're sure inside of this unit it's a DS1287, and I've got the clock battery ready to do that as well, and I'll do that after I go through and make the reference diskette here. So let's do, okay, so we go through and we type that executable. I'm trying to remember a little bit of the sequence. So that's the executable for that, what makes the image. Okay, no, it extracted it. Oh, okay. Okay. And actually it added one more file here. Let's do another directory. So this copy disk, and we have that disk or DSK image there. So the syntax for that, and it does say this in, and I don't think we have to give it the diskette drive name, but we have to give it the image that we have, as I remember things. Let's find out what that does. Okay. Usage, copy disk, source, destination. Okay, and default is 1. So we do have to insert, and I'm probably aware that I could likely go through okay. Oh, source. Okay. So yeah, normally if we do the little up arrow, I'm in a newer OS in this case. Just append a colon on the end of that. And I think, okay. Insert diskette 1 of 1 and drive. We already have a diskette in the drive way back over here. Okay. And I can hear a little bit of a click, click, click as I go. It steps of those tracks. And if I were a little bit more quiet, you guys would hear it too. Okay, diskette compared okay. So I'm going to start work on the, and I'll move the I'll move the SkyCam up as we get to the point of looking inside here. But I'm going to go through and pop the cover off. And I'm on my leash again. So let's go through. And I hope my leash doesn't hit the SkyCam, or the side cam in this case. Okay. There we have our, yeah, this works out. Wasn't that fun? Okay. YouTube will probably select that for the thumbnail automatically. Not to override it. I don't have my fingertips on tonight. I don't want to drop these screws. So, 4 screws. And let me work with I want to show a little bit of this on the back too. So we're 5 months short of this business land label of when that was order was complete in June, on June 29th of 1991. And I don't have any idea of what business land store. Okay. Just bringing the cover off and over. I'm going to pause things to get the back in the SkyCam position again, and I think we're even going to pull that card as we go through the configuration. Okay, and remember that the Dallas real-time clock module is underneath here. And yes, we probably want to make sure I want to minimize the amount that I disassemble this, but I want to show where that is. Yeah, we can just barely see it off camera. I have these. Okay, yeah, just rotating it like that out of the way. And this doesn't have that cable tie. Wow. Yeah, I can straighten those pins. I was trying to rock that from side to side. And of course, I'll go through and I'll reuse this for another mod. And this is another 1387. So I went through and prior to pulling it, I should have checked. So I'm making sure I can straighten the pins. And then, so doing a whole bunch of extra work I created. And man, that really, I was rocking it from side to side, and then all of a sudden it just came loose. These pins, as long as you're gentle, and you want to minimize the bending, you don't want to go back and forth like I just did with one pin to put a strain on the where it's folded or bent, and just slowly, delicately, and I put on my glasses. Yeah, just that came, just all of a sudden it came out. So I get these prepared. I get prepared to put in a DS1287, and then I learn, of course I don't do enough investigating beforehand with these things underneath the drive carriers on NCR systems. I'm just pulling out my pocket knife. I don't know if that just to get those pins. Getting close, just have to so maybe it'll come out easier the next time when I have an actual DS1387 modded up to go in. And the DS1387, what that is, it includes an extra 2 kilobyte of there's my nice squared off these are very good for just so we got a little bit of a lesson in straightening pins. This is a thing you have to do sometimes. I always tell people the story of I had an eBay seller that sent me, I think, a 386 or 486 CPU, and they did it in a bubble wrap envelope. It's a PGA CPU. That means that pin grid array, the pins on the CPU poked and popped all the bubble wrap on the one side, the little bubbles on the bubble wrap. Okay. And so I confronted him, sent him an email afterwards, told him that, bent all the pins once the bubble wrap was all smushed. And he said, well, I wrote fragile on the package. So that was his way. So pin 1 orientation, and we can see the little notch at this end, pin 1 being marked in a dot. To get this, all this flailing exercise, of once we got that module out, having to put it back in. And we're going to have to see what the reference diskette will do with the battery in the condition. And there's our 1287 that was ready to go. I even had a spare battery. Nope. So we're back seated in there. It went back in easy. Like, it'll come out better the next time. And we'll go through. Yeah, so everything I did, pulling that drive carrier up, everything else. Well, we opened it, and we might as well. And that's when I went through, I remember it being for the property of Capel Federal Savings. And that's ultimately, oh, it's got a microchannel interface chip. Some of the manufacturers produce for an easy way to interface to the microchannel bus, 16-bit bus. And with link lights, that's probably what they regard as ThickNet or 10 base T. Ethernet. So, let's get that out. I'm going to spin picking up at the appropriate spot. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to pause and I'll move it back down to side cam and connect up the cables on the back. I can go through, won't fasten screws. I can just put that cover back on. And then I'll need to get the video connected to probably shut down this NetVista system that's been so nice to let us create a reference diskette on it. Well, let's see. Yeah. Okay, so I've can view the front of it if needed here, but it beeped a little bit. Whoa! I talked about being lucky that I had never got sparks or anything else before. And I smell smoke. No, we don't want that. Boy, we're just and it beeped a couple times. Oh, that's right. That's got the retaining tabs like some of the NCR SCSI adapters have. And there wasn't anything to that, getting that drive case back in there. There's not anything to that 1387. I mean, that's socketed right. There's not any pins that would short across that. This power supply looks nice and clean, but we're talking more than 30 years old. And I smell the smoke. I am not going to stress any more of that or try and push the issue of that power supply. I've got the power cable disconnected. Yeah, something cooked off. So, aren't we having some videos here lately? And we've been going a little bit more than a half hour. I'm going to get back up. Okay. And we're black, no signal, of course. Well, we made that nice reference diskette. We went through a little bit of flailings. And yes, my first name is Dave. I'm not going to say anything more. I didn't stick any things in that power supply or anything like that to cuss it to go out. That's a wrap for this video. I'll have to discover if I can go through and repair this. And that power supply is just so unique too. And I do have some other NCR systems, but by the time going through and getting the reference diskette image made, that'll just be another video that I can do on those. And then I'm having to do a lot of system rebuilding to get to a point where I can have a machine that goes through and runs. We learned how to make reference diskettes, I guess, for the NCR models. It's about the only learning experience, and I think that power supply would have gone out anyway. But, you know, Mama said that there will be days like this, and I just have to work on what I'm able to do for the next video that I'm reasonably certain it's not going to backfire on me. In fact, I think I have a reference diskette for the other NCR systems that's made up, that's hanging out of the drive. Let me put the other one up. I've got 2 of that model. So if one doesn't work, I can switch to the other. And hopefully this error will clear. And we'll get to see an NCR system maybe firing up. But I'll be right back. So that only took me a few minutes. And I have 2 of these. And it's actually, these are the 3433 models. And each of them have a diskette that I've already got made up for them. So I've got everything connected. No sparks. Okay. And we might even see if it prompts us for a reference diskette. And I think that these have quite a bit of memory. 128 megabyte of RAM. Okay, and I have the reference diskette out. I've just got a standard 640 by 480 resolution. And I can show where the modem connection, I don't know what it's referring to there. For technical support use only, R BIOS. That might be interesting looking over that. So didn't prompt for, and this only has the SCSI adapter in a slot. The other one has an Ethernet adapter. Okay, it's updated my clock since as a result of daylight savings. Has it updated the year that I'm in? So I'm gonna grab the keyboard and mouse. Yeah, and so I've got all these tangles. Okay. Keyboard's looking good. Mouse is not. And you guys just love to see me adjusting my cables. So it's actually 8:27 p.m. right now. But correct. Not that it really matters, but oh, just turned 28. Yeah. Okay. And I've got the time zone set. So I've evidently had this I've run this before, but who knows how long. Turn 56 colors. I don't know why the desktop. So on this, I don't know, I'd have to look at the display for it to find out if it requires it has any drivers that are particular, but authentic AMD. So it's probably got a 5x86, 133. So nothing flagged. I'm happy enough with it for them running. I still have this acrid smoke in the room here. And this looks like just a stock. In fact, it looks like just an initial load of Windows 95. Did it identify? Oh, it's the B version. So Windows 95, there was the A, the B, and the C version. The C version went through and started to add USB and stuff. Okay, so that's drivers for the hardware. And we went off in a whole separate direction from Reference Diskette. But I don't even remember Paint. I guess you could change icons for Paint, but I don't even remember that icon. It's got the plus back too. And this is probably version 3 of Internet Explorer. CP. Okay. but looks just like a base install Windows 95. And who knows on the other one. That'll be a... I can do that in another video for the other system, and maybe to look at that RBIOS. Sorry, I'm going back and forth here. I was thinking of and that's at SCSI Drive, and so free space, get up close to 100 and or 200, 2 gig hard drive, 2 gig hard drive. No printers. So I may have gone through and just done a base install. And with Microchannel, we could go through and I could get out a network adapter. Not really able to browse much of the web, but okay. So that was just a hard left veer tangent from where this video started, where it ended up. But we learned how to make, this is going to be the stock. We learned how to make NCR reference diskettes, even though we didn't use them. We learned how to straighten legs, straighten the pins off of a DS1387 when you pull it off the motherboard. Okay. That's where we sit. So if you enjoyed this extraordinary video, right at 48 minutes right now of recording time, and the direction I had to go to get a working system that just powered on, didn't need any reference diskette. But if you enjoyed that, by all means, click on that like button. I think what I'll do, even though it'll be another video and it'll be just off on the tangent, I'll go through and I'll put that reference diskette in the drive and boot from it and look through the configuration. But we've seen a microchannel system now, Windows 95 be on it. Looks like a very capable CPU, quite a bit of RAM memory, and just waiting for us to go through and work with this in some way. So that is all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.